YouTube. Me again. We're headed into town. I've got to run to the chiropractor. I've got to drop some clothes off at the resale shop, and I've got to drop my library books off. I should run in and get some more, but I think right now I'm just not going to do that. Because I've got to get back. I've got to get... me and my oldest daughter have to get schooling done. Everybody needs baths. We stayed last night at my mom's house. These work days are really kind of kicking my butt, if I'm honest. I know a lot of people don't understand that, and I also know that a lot of women in my position, being in their mid to later 30s, being pregnant, maybe even being out of shape like me, they work much harder than I do in a job, or whatever. And I'm not trying to be whiny about it. I give kudos to everybody. I'm just saying it's like I was very tired last night. I was so tired. But I think, let's see, do I have 4 more truck days? And then after this Friday, I'll have 2 more cleanings. That sounds right, 4 and 2. So we're taking down the time. But what I really got on here was just, this is going to be a short video. I have some update videos and stuff coming up. And I have a lot of things in my brain that I need to be putting to action and doing and getting done, and things like that. But we also have to live life. So I'm trying to make plans with a friend for this weekend, and I'm trying to just juggle all the things mentally, physically. You know how it is. There's been a lot of things. I've touched on this, briefly, but there's been a lot of things that have been mentally, emotionally, and spiritually attacking me lately. It's been a lot. Just not a lot that I can really talk about on here as of now. Pregnancy's going great. Life in general is great, but there's a lot of things that feel very, very big that could impact a lot of things in my life. That a bit seem to be falling apart. And it's not my favorite. But what I will say is that God definitely answers prayers. Big, big, big time. And he comes through. And so to me, it gives me hope for the other things that are going on in my life. Originally, when my daughter was in her preschool, the director had discussed starting an actual school. And I was like, please, this was before we decided to homeschool. Now, I also want to say this. I feel like I needed to give a disclosure. Homeschooling is working out great for us. I love it. I'm so glad we made that decision. I fully support homeschooling families, but at the same time, I know it is not for everybody. I wasn't even sure it was going to be for us. It was really a tough decision. And whatever you're doing, public school, private school, homeschooling, co-ops, whatever you're doing for the best interest of your child. So I just want to put that out there, because I think that there's a stigma around sometimes, because I do think that there's a lot of people that fall into this category. Whatever they're doing, they think that's the only way. I don't think that at all. And when the director had discussed opening a school, I was like, oh, please, 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 please. And I prayed so hard about it, and it fell through. It didn't take. The church was not in favor. Obviously, probably because of resources and finances and space, and just for a lot of different reasons. They could have made it work, but it would have been probably entirely too difficult. And they just weren't ready for that, and I understand that. But the director last year, I think it was, she had brought up the idea that she had of starting a class, and it would be for older kids. It would only be 1 day a week, because there's a local school that only goes to school 4 days a week. So there's a day where some of these kids, they have to find somewhere to go just for 1 day, right? So they have some of those kids that come there. And so she was like, well, what we could do is structure a little better a class, kind of, and open it up to some homeschool families as well, and I was like, oh, that would even be great, because homeschooling is great. We're going to homeschool, but I know I can tell my daughter needs more routine, regular, the same kids kind of thing. You know, we go to the library, we go to story time, she's in tumbling and dance, and that's all well and good, but like last year her tumbling and dance classes were big. This year they're tiny classes. Some days there's only her and her best friend in her dance class, which is great. She gets to see her best friend, but she does need more than that. As much as I advocate for us being a homeschool family, I want what's absolutely best for my kids. And so when this director was talking about this, of course I jumped on that too. Yes, please. It was before I knew I was pregnant or anything, but I was like, I'll help, or I'll do, whatever. Yes, just please. So I spoke with her around Christmas time, and she said that she had brought it up to the church, and the church was kind of like, didn't immediately jump on it, It sounded like it was going to be a no, and I'm like, no, why would it be a no? And so I was sad, and she said, I'm going to bring it back up towards the end of the school year. I said, great, I'll contact you then. And I was like, I just don't think they're going to say yes. And my daughter was like, don't say that. You are being negative, and you say, like, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so my 6-year-old is checking me, which is good. That's a good thing. So we prayed about it a lot. And I had made a comment on Facebook on the director's post, and she said, hey, call me when you can. I said, I'll call you this week. So I called her Monday, and she said that the class was a go. My daughter is signed up to go 1 day a week in the morning time. The class is going to be kindergartners through third graders. So, I only have a couple years for it, so we'll see what happens. But that's where it's at, and she's signed up, and the class is going to be structured with a Bible lesson, a craft project, structured play, and free play. So what I know is that 4 hours a week, my daughter is going to have just a given of extracurricular time that I get to log for homeschool hours. She'll get time with her friends consistently. She already knows 5 of the kids that's going to be in the class, which is amazing. And then I bring her home and I do the homeschool lesson, and we're good there. It's going to be great for winter time and all that kind of stuff too. I'm so excited. And we were just celebrating all day, if I'm honest. She is over the moon. She's so excited. She says she doesn't want to go to school. She likes homeschooling. But this is going to be perfect. And she misses her old school. That's what she said, and all the teachers. We've really been blessed, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to run into my chiropractor appointment. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.